today, Trump?
Biggest threat to Europe. He's putting the biggest threat to Europe.
Biggest threat to Europe? Losing the competitiveness. That's the real threat, not the security. The real threat is not security-wise, it's economic and losing our competitiveness on the global trade. That's our problem.
Do you expect that Russia will be mentioned?
Donald Trump's leadership towards NATO.
Sorry?
What do you think of Donald Trump's leadership?
Welcome back.
Do you think he deserves as much credit as Mark Rutte gave him in his private text messages yesterday?
Styles are different in many countries.
Prime Minister, do you expect Russia to be mentioned?
Sorry.
Do you expect that Russia will be mentioned as a threat or an adversary in a final stated after this summit?
It's always mentioned like that.
Do you support it?
You know, I think Russia is not strong enough to represent a real threat to us. We are far stronger.
Why aren't you blocking like you always do? Why aren't you blocking like you always do?
Blocking what? No, we don't block it.
Are you happy that President Zelensky is being kept on the sidelines this time and there's no talk of Ukraine membership for NATO?
You know, NATO has no business in Ukraine. Ukraine is not member of NATO, neither Russia. And my job is to keep it as it is. Thank you very much.
Good morning. It's always good to talk after Victor. First of all, I would like to say that this is a very important meeting, and this is not about the technical details or about the decisions of secondary importance. I think we should choose the motto, make NATO great again. And in the center of this ambition is 5% level of spending. 5% do not deter. The percentages do not fight on the battlefield, but they must be translated into the cash, and the cash should be translated into real capabilities. We have to admit we are lagging behind of Russia. And Russia is producing much more equipment and ammunition as we taken together. So for Baltic countries, for the Lithuania I represent, it's pretty clear that we even don't need the transitional periods. We are ready to do our job right now, 4% this year, and next year we intend to spend 5.25% of our GDP, keeping that level of spending until 2030. I would like to extend my gratitude to President Donald Trump, because without his engagement, I can imagine that we would discuss probably the level of 2.5% with no clear outcome and positive outcome. Probably those discussions will lead to nothing. So sometimes the external pressure of our biggest ally is very useful in order to get the point, to understand the, heat of the moment and to do our job. Why we need 5% in my country? We need in order to modernize our army, to create the national division, and to be ready to grant the best conditions for our allies, for our best friends and allies, Germany, United States. The 1,000 soldiers are stationed in Lithuania, United States soldiers. We have very ambitious plan to have full-scale German brigade until 2027. So for that, we need financial resources, and we are ready to do that.
Mr. President, we just heard
Sorry, it's not...
Mr. Orban just said that actually the biggest threat to Europe is lack of competition, lack of competitiveness. When he was asked if Mr. Putin is the biggest threat, I presume you believe Mr. Putin...
I could agree with Victor in this regard, that competition is important. But, you know, we should understand very well, without the security, without our readiness to defend every inch of allied territories, all other remaining issues are just not relevant. Because if we lose our territorial integrity and independence, why we need this competitiveness? For what?
Do you believe Donald Trump would come to your aid if you were attacked? Do you believe Donald Trump would come to your aid if you were attacked?
I believe here in Article 5, and I think that Article 5 is very simple. One for all for one. And
Lots of different interpretations.
I am looking forward to hear and to listen what will be the description of Article 5. But in my understanding, Article 5 is pretty clear.
But Trump keeps changing his mind.
I don't think so, and I really appreciate the President Trump. If he would not interested in the future of the NATO, why he would push these 5% on the table? I think this is very important to understand. If some person is interested to get the organization stronger, then proposals are coming, and proposals are coming from our biggest ally, and we have to respect those proposals.
But do you
Mr. President, what do you think? What is your assessment? Why Russia poses so big threat to us now? What are Mr. Putin's goals at the moment?
Let's go to the year 2007, 2008. Mr. Putin said that the largest tragedy of 20th century was the collapse of Soviet Union. And if you listen what he's saying carefully, you will explain all the activities we faced in the recent decade, starting from Crimea, going to the war in Ukraine, and of course these threats. These threats are around us. And of course we should talk not only about Ukraine, Middle East, incidents in the Baltic Sea, almost everyday incidents, attacks against the critical infrastructure. This is our reality. This is our business as usual. And this is because of Russian activities. And of course, close ally Belarus, because Belarus is another issue, and we have very long border with Belarus, and we face another kind of hybrid activities, for example, in the form of illegal and instrumentalized migration.
Mr. President.
Not too late for your campaign. And I'm from the Netherlands. We have Dutch soldiers in your campaign. Do you hope that they follow the German decision to stay permanent?
We appreciate very much your contribution, because this is integral part of EFP troops in Lithuania, and we all are working as a one strong power. 2035, of course, looking from our perspective, it is too late, because as I mentioned, we are ready to spend immediately 5%, and we would be happy to see that our allies, our partners, we are ready to do the same. But you know, NATO, like the European Council, is the organization of the consensus. If they reach the consensus, and the consensus is 2035, let's be like that, and I hope that we will increase the financing every year, consequently, in order to reach this target.
Mr. President, given that everyone seems to be...
As a forerunner on defense spending, how concerned are you about the flexible interpretation of the 5% target from Spain and Belgium? Do you think this can actually jeopardize the declaration?
I read the sentence. Allies are obliged to spend 5%, 3.5% on the core defense spending, 1.5% on additional infrastructure spending, and to do that until 2035. And I cannot see any interpretations in the text. We all are obliged, and this is our common duty, to do the best. We should just make organization capable to withstand the pressure, not necessarily only the pressure of Russian Federation, but also the pressure of some other hostile nations. So this is our task.
Everyone seems to be having a different interpretation of what Donald Trump meant about Article 5. Do you believe that allies should have this conversation today at the table?
I don't know if there will be some conversation. It would be very useful, because it would be pretty clear what is the Article 5. And maybe we need this very frank discussion about Article 5, because if we describe and we understand Article 5, we all together, we understand, our understanding is the same, of course it would mean that organization will be safer without no interpretations. Maybe this discussion has to come.
So you agree that now everyone has like slightly different
maybe
interpretations?
I will have some more answers to your question probably after our today's meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy that Zelensky has been sidelined, and
Yes, I hope that the bilateral meeting of President Zelensky and United States President Donald Trump will take place. And I hope this is most important to know, that there is close contact between United States and Ukraine. And it's very important to keep this constant contact, to explain the arguments, to explain the situation, because the situation is changing every day. We understand. We are not far away from Ukraine. We understand the situation is changing. Not necessarily to the positive side, because Russia is trying to do to push the territories to go deeper into the territory of Ukraine, and probably this is a calculation of Vladimir Putin, just to imitate the negotiations, and meanwhile to attack, to occupy even larger territories of Ukraine, and maybe then somewhen sit at the table and to start peace negotiations. But I think this is not a very fair approach, and we have to resist it. Thank you.
President.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Where are you going to hold the summit next year?
morning.
Good morning. Mr. President, you went to 20 slides. The main threat to Europe is Erdogan.
To the threshold. We're gonna move up, you said, yeah? You said we're gonna move up?
Yeah, like we're standing.
Good morning, sir. We'll start right here, and in 3, 2, 1.
Somebody that's actually asking.
Can you believe it? Thank you.
That's amazing.
So I'll also.
That's the picture we want.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you slept well.
It was great.
Yeah?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. But actually, Mr. President, to tell you, that's you.
Also you.